And we're back with the Vacuous Perspective. I'm Val, and doing the jigs.
I got a new dance today.
And Nate.
Oh, it's the Macarena though.
Oh, it's the Macarena.
I don't want that one. I want the silly dance.
Whoa. There we go. Is this going to go for a while? Maybe you should talk over it. Oh, you can just stop
No,
it.
it's a short one, apparently.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so how you been?
Yeah, pretty good. Just got off the phone. Just got off the phone with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
She called about maybe 10 minutes ago, and I said I started by saying, "Hey, it's really nice to hear from you," because I hadn't heard from her in a while. Really nice to hear from you, but and she said, "Oh, I know you're recording tonight." I said, "Yeah, I've got to record tonight." And she said, "Oh, okay, no problem." And then she said, "Oh, I just I went shopping today for you, and I put some stuff in your fridge, kind of thing. Tidied up your kitchen for you while your father did the garden. Normal stuff.
Yeah.
For a 36-year-old man, and lovely, just the loveliest lady." She started saying, "Oh, you know what?" And I said, "Yeah, I do have to go. So if this is a story, okay, I can't do a story right now. If this is what is it?" And she goes, "I've been thinking about making pizza bases." And I said, "Oh, okay." She goes, "You like pizza? Wouldn't it be great to have your own pizza bases kind of thing?"
The logic is undeniable.
But I said to her, "Look, you don't have to base your hobbies on my requirements. You know what I mean? You don't have to do that. Making pizza
No, that's
like thingos, it's not just like, but
yeah,
she
no,
does
you don't have
everything.
to, but that's lovely. That's
Yeah,
lovely.
no, so
Is she going to do it?
probably. She's a bit of a doer, my mother.
Yeah, wait,
And I
so how
said,
is she ready to go with these
"Pizza bases?" Well,
yeah,
apparently.
because I've
I
got a
said,
starter. My girlfriend's she's back on the bread train. She was making bread about 2 years ago.
yeah, well, she should definitely talk to my mother, because my mother's a bit of a bread god.
the bread god. Well, what I'm saying is my girlfriend's got the yeast.
Yeah.
All right.
My
So
mum's
she's
also
got the
got the
yeast
yeast.
that we all need.
Yeah. You need the starter. It's amazing, isn't it? Because you're eating at some points like 20-year-old bread. Really?
What? Oh, because the yeast is old, but isn't it just
Yeah.
generations of yeast? Like the yeast probably only lasts for a couple.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to ask the bread god.
Because
But
it's generations. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the yeast will last for it'll live for I don't know, a couple weeks or something,
yeah.
and
But
then divide
no.
into new yeast.
Doesn't it just last forever?
Okay, maybe. But speaking of lasting forever.
No. I have to tell you this story.
Oh, okay. Hold that. I'll hold that thought.
Hold that thought. Yeah. So she called me up. She's talking about the pizza, and I said, "Okay, great. Yeah, no, that's great. I do have to go." And she said, "Because so and so from down the road brought the kids over, and they made their own pizzas." And I said, "That's great. I have to go." And she said, "Oh, and it was just great, and you could make your own pizzas." And I said, "You're still doing it?" She goes, "I know. I'm gonna let you go now." And I said, "That's great. It was lovely to talk to you." She goes, "Lovely to talk to you as well. And you know what else you can do with the pizzas?" And it was amazing. And I said, "I have to go now because I have to write all this shit down. Bye."
She won't give up on the pizzas.
But I already didn't prep enough, and I'd left it to the last minute. And after doing very little, I then got a phone call. I was like in my, by my prime productivity time. And now all I got is a story about the bread god. You know what I mean? That's what it's come to. I've got this bread god story.
Wait, and your mum's the bread god?
Yeah.
I like it. The bread goddess.
Yes.
Yeah, well, look, if she wants any of my girlfriend's yeasties, then, all she has to do is ask.
Right, there you go. Okay, there could be some... All right, there you go. But what were you saying about bread?
I was saying about living forever.
Oh, living forever is like...
No, I was...
what are we
it
doing?
reminded me of the fact that I've done my homework.
Oh, no, you did you?
I did it.
You watched the second one.
I watched The Man from Earth too.
Yeah, you watched the second one.
Holocene.
Holocene Man. What are your thoughts?
Is Holocene a
It's a
period of time or
period.
something?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a period. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the one we're in? Are we in the Holocene?
I think the point of that movie, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we were reaching the end of the Holocene era, and that's why he's starting to.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. That's why I realized. Yes.
It's the new age
Yeah,
now.
because are we giving spoilers? Are we allowed to give spoilers? Like what, the movie's been out for 5 years?
Yeah, so the first one, it's a man in a cabin, claims to have been a Cro-Magnon, lived for 10,000 years or some shit, 12,000 years.
14,000
And
years.
he's with a bunch of people who could disprove or prove or whatever. He was in a good company to fuck with them, essentially, whether he was telling the truth or not. The second one, because he moves every 10 years because people sort of cotton on to the fact that he's not aging. The second one sort of picks up 10 years later after he left the cabin. The anthropologist guy wrote a book about his night with the Cro-Magnon and ruined his academic career because people thought he was taking the piss. What do you to pick it up? Yeah, what's going on in this movie?
No, that's spot on. That's a great little summary. But I think the biggest point of difference is the first movie is all in the one room.
It's all in the cabin. And I did
It's all
say
in
to
the
you
cabin.
that the second one's a bit more dynamic, I guess we'll call it.
Yes, it's a bit more normal in that they break out of the one room. They kind of go for the more modern multi-scene type movie.
Yep.
And look,
he's up to his old tricks again. He's up to his old tricks again. He's moved to a new university. He's shacked up with the lovely lady. He's up to his old tricks again, isn't he?
He is, but you can only get away from this for so long. It was foreshadowed in the first one.
Yep.
That he might not be able to keep this up because now there's more records and it's hard to go unnoticed these days. There's photographs for starters.
Yeah.
The internet.
People but he doesn't like taking his photo taken. He's got a thing about it. He's like Axl Rose, he's like, fuck off with the cameras, right?
Yeah, he's always got some little little idea about how he can sort of block his face from photos and things.
He's not on the university what happens website, is there's these, and he blocks it with his fucking hand. Yeah,
how can he not be? Moves. Yeah, look, it's ridiculous to not have your photo taken this day and age. But these 4 university students are onto him, right? And I can't remember how. I think they borrow one of his books, and
he lets people in through the back door to retrieve books at their leisure. Just students of his, I guess.
Yeah, he's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. Hey, did we mention that he's Jesus?
He sort of alluded to the fact that he was the character that sort of is the Jesus of the Bible, but he didn't claim he walked on water, didn't claim he was the Son of God.
So essentially what he says is he at some point started working his way east and studied with Buddha.
With the Buddha.
And then worked his way back and started teaching similar, what became Christianity.
Yeah, and
right.
It was just
so this guy is Jesus, right? And one of the 4 school kids that figures out they're onto him and they start figuring out that he is someone that has he's changing his identity and has potentially lived forever or 14,000 years. And he's a sort of a Judas type character, right? He's a Christian. He's a devout Christian.
Devout Christian who's denying that this is Jesus for one, and because he doesn't like what he's saying about how I'm not really the Son of God, I'm just a guy. It's all good. I'm just still here, kind of thing. He wasn't having a bar.
To cut a long story, to cut to the chase, really, this Judas character ends up alone in a room with Jesus tied up to a chair.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's another person in the group who wants to worship him and make him the new savior, the real returning of Jesus Christ kind of thing. You got that?
Yeah.
Who's kind of into that side of it. She's like, no, you are Jesus, and people need to know your message and stuff. And what is your message kind of thing? And he's like, no, my message is I move away every 10 years and bang a new lady and have a new professorship.
Yeah, because he's got a girl in this one, which is interesting because he knows he has to move on.
He had a girl in the last one. Yeah, she was the lady who went with him in the ute at the end.
Oh, I thought she
He
was
like
just a
goes,
fling. I thought she was a
oh,
fling, whereas this one was more of a, they were right into it. But the one thing I noticed that made no sense, and you may have not picked up on this, but you know when
yeah,
there's
go on.
certain plot things that happen in the plot that they show on camera, so you assume that it must feed into the plot, otherwise why would they show it?
Sure. Yeah,
Right?
of course.
When they break in to his house, the 4 kids, or maybe it was 2 or 3 of the kids, break into his house to, like, I don't know, rummage through his shit, figure out what he's got going on. That girl that's got the hots for him, that throws herself at him at one point, which is quite awkward, by the way.
Gnarly scene. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's a gnarly scene. She steals some panties. Can I call them panties?
Yes.
Out of the drawer. So
I just remembered
Jesus
this.
has a
Yeah,
girlfriend, right? Jesus has a
Jesus
girlfriend.
lady, yeah.
I don't know if she's like jealous of it or what. I don't
She's
know if she's
also a
doing
professor.
voodoo shit. Yeah. So she steals the female underwears out of the drawer and puts them in her bag. And they show that on the screen. And I was thinking to myself, I was racking my brain and I was like, okay, where's this going? What's she going to possibly do?
Why did she take her undies?
I thought maybe, look, I was thinking voodoo stuff because I thought maybe she's got the hots for him, so she can somehow, give her crabs or something using the.
What the fuck?
I don't know how voodoo works.
It's the weirdest. You're right. It's so weird. They're breaking into the house. They're all stealing important junk, and then she goes up to the room.
She goes up and steals underwear
and takes the underwear home. And they never address it, do they?
No, definitely not. Well, that's why I wanted to raise it. See, maybe I missed something. Like maybe it did.
No, I forgot about it. Yeah, that is really. That's quite weird.
What I love about is how this Christian kid gets so worried that, because this Jesus fellow is saying, the books, the Bible's a bit of a crock. Yeah, I did some things, but people have taken this and twisted it and made a religion out of it. Yeah. I never wanted to make a religion. I was just trying to teach basic principles.
Sure. And during the scene that you mentioned, him in the room with him tied to a chair, he was doing all sorts of shit. He's like, well, if you think I'm Jesus, well, then just what are you going to do? Shoot me? Or if you don't think I'm Jesus, you want to shoot me then? And he just goes, is this a test of faith? You want me to shoot you? And he's like, bro, like, whatever, hey, like, shoot me. I don't give a fuck kind of thing, right? It was a bit of that.
You either have to stab me or let me go.
Stab me or let me go or some shit. What does he do? What does he do?
What does he do?
Did he stab him or did he let him go?
Oh, look, you'll have to watch to find out.
No, he stabbed him.
He does stab him. He stabs
Jesus.
A devout Christian stabs Jesus. That's why I was referring to him as Judah. Yeah, in the spot. He says,
should I stab you in the spot? And he's like, do whatever the fuck you want, man, kind of thing. I don't know what he says, but he says something to that effect. Do whatever the fuck you want, bro. And he stabs him.
How's the irony of a Christian stabbing Jesus?
Stabbing anybody. Stabbing anybody. Why are we stabbing? Why are we stabbing? When did the stabbing thing?
I tell you what, your brother redeemed himself. Redeemed himself, because I was a bit worried after the first movie.
Right. You're saying the movie's redeemed himself. What happened to the kid who stabbed him?
The kid. Well, they don't really deal with that. He just sort of absconds and no charges are laid.
There's no body.
Yeah, there's no body. Oh, yeah. Well, Jesus absconds as well.
Jesus leaves to a cave.
Oh, classic. That is, he would have felt right at home.
He would have loved it.
Because he's a caveman, right?
He would have loved it.
Hey, have you been watching... Have you finished Graham Hancock's...
He's only had like kettles and couches and stuff for the last couple of 100 years. That's fuck all in 14,000, right? He's much more accustomed to the caveman experience.
Oh, I reckon pants would make him itchy. Once you've done 14,000... When did we invent pants?
When did we invent pants?
Do you reckon we had pants? Did the Egyptians had pants, right?
Sure. We had pants back then.
Towel. They wrapped a towel around themselves or something.
We had sort of coverings for a long time. Probably the whole time. 14,000 really isn't caveman.
It used to be a leaf, right? It started as a leaf. You just put a leaf around there.
Yeah, just pop a leaf on and it stays there apparently. You just pop a leaf.
And a string. You attach it to a string.
Oh, you need string. I never saw the string.
The leaf is more to hide your shame because they were obviously pretty upset about their privates in that. Or is that just that's just our depiction, right?
Yeah, they probably were nude.
Yeah, it's actually funny when you see photos of actual tribal people.
Sure.
That haven't had, I guess, what the Western influence that I'm used to, and they've just got their titties hanging out, like all their junk. Of course, they're just like, yeah, it's me. Why would they would find it hilarious? They're like, wait, say what now? Why can't you? Why can't you? What's the problem with like? And then that you'd see a bloke's, they'd see like, oh, this bloke's got his titties hanging out. That's not allowed, right? And you'd be like, no. You have to. That's
there's a bit of that
different.
Going
it's
on.
different, right? He's got a penis so he can show his nips. You don't have a penis, you can't show your nips.
Yeah, and when you're in another country, you adhere to the customs and whatever of that country that you're in, right? Like you are respectful and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Which has come up in the news actually because of the whole Qatar pulling the fast one on Budweiser. You must have heard about this.
No, Qatar's pulled a fast one on Budweiser.
So FIFA and Budweiser have been working together for 14 years or longer or something. They've been the official Bud. Get yourself a Bud, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah. So Budweiser sponsors FIFA.
Yeah, major sponsor deal.
Major sponsor, the beer of soccer.
Yes, that's what they were going with.
The official.
The government of Qatar announced or something that no alcohol is to be served at the stadiums.
Oh yeah, classic, right?
2 days before the event.
Oh, what do you do with all that Bud?
$100 million sponsorship.
So what, they normally serve beer at the...
Well, probably not, right? Oh. It's not that kind of jam.
I've pulled it.
Yeah.
That's a bit of... Yeah, it's a bit of a big deal. There'll be someone has to drink that beer.
Well, I think in my brain, because I hear like the corporate boxes and stuff still have beer being served. They're just not serving it to like everybody. So... I don't know what is the point to like, is it a cultural thing where like, because they don't drink, they don't want it at the game? Is it a thing where they don't want unruly people like getting all funked up? Who knows? I don't know what it is, but they just pulled it at the last second. You got people who have like traveled there from the other side of the world to like go to this thing. And apparently there's no beers on tap.
And they want to get drunk.
Apparently.
They must get drunk because
I can't think of anything more terrifying.
But then what?
So
being drunk at the soccer.
No, being really drunk in a place
where they ban alcohol.
With different customs and like all that sort of stuff where you're where you don't know the rules.
Yeah, you don't want to be a loose unit. Because it's easy being a loose unit where you sort of, it's all second nature about what you can and can't do. And even then, when you're a loose unit, you still break the law, right?
Sure.
So, but ignorance of the law is not a defense.
No. Well said.
Oh, man. So I've got a little surprise for you tonight.
So are we done with Holocene Man?
Yeah, I think so.
Put him in the bin. There should be another one in a few years' time.
Yeah, well, yeah, there might be. Because...
What's this surprise? What are you surprising?
It is actually our first ever guest on the pod.
Got a guest?
It's our good friend. You know him very well. To demarcate him and myself, I might see if I can put these little ears on. There we go.
Do you know who this is?
Do I know who this is?
I suppose I need to speak probably a little bit more. You don't recognize the cat ears?
I don't recognize the cat ears. What are the cat ears?
I don't know. I just thought we wear them all the time. We hang out. I wear cat ears.
Holy shit. Holy shit! Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Of course you wear cat ears all the time.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You know. You know what it's like out there. Cats and dogs. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know what
man.
I'm talking about, dude.
What's been happening?
I don't know, like prowling around. Oh, that sounds really creepy. I'm just trying to riff on cat ears, but yeah, not much, man. I've actually been here the whole time that you've both been recording the podcast. Like, I'm not talking about just tonight. I'm talking about like in the past months. I've actually just been sitting here silently, observing. Yeah. Just watching, I guess, learning the craft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What have you garnered anything?
It's important to talk on a podcast. That's one thing. You got to have a good avatar. Like, you probably need to come with a bit more detail and a bit more, like human likeness than just adding cat ears to an existing person that's not yourself. Got to have good topics, good things to discuss, good conversational things.
Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. What do you reckon? How does that fit?
Oh, man, you're smashing it
with your philosophy.
Oh, yeah, you've done it.
I've got it.
Yeah, you've done it.
Could I be a permanent guest if I, keep learning, keep observing, keep hiding in the corner while the rest of us talk?
Yeah, man. Where are you? Are you actually there?
I'm actually here. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I'm there. I'm here.
You're in the
Are you here?
Oh, I feel like I'm here.
Are you there?
No, I'm there.
I think for you, you're here and I'm also here. But from my perspective, you're there. And I'm there for you.
I'm here.
How have you been? That's what I should ask.
Yeah, man. Just another year around the sun, dude. Went for it and did it.
It does happen like that, doesn't it?
Got the whole one. So no, it's been good, man.
I mean, someone asked me today how the tides work.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of going around the sun.
Good. Why?
I don't know. I think they just thought I'm that kind of guy who...
Oh, you know how the tides work?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's observed, who's seen, who's, Yeah, so you've been watching the tides? or did you just go off the cuff? You just have a crack at it?
I had nothing to contribute to that conversation. I said, and it came out like, prior to that, we'd been talking about, like what we've been up to or like what you did today. And then they just hit you with that tide conversation. And I was stumped, frankly. I just said something about the moon. Do you know how the tides work?
Yeah, that is exactly my understanding. Is something about the moon.
Yeah, but then you go like, what does it do? Like what? Then what? Like the moon, does it pull? It pulls, I think. But where is it pulling?
No, you just have to say moon and gravity together. You just say gravity and the moon, and there's something else going on. But look, other people have worked it out. It's on the Wikipedia. You check it out, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, that should be the answer. Is like, how do the tides work? And you go, you just search that on Google.
People like saying that because tides are water, right, and because we are mostly made of water, that's why the moon has an effect on us, like internal tides.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
No, but they go with that. It's a bit horoscopy for me, but they go with that.
I mean, like, they think your sort of brain's getting pulled like a little bit to the left or right or up or something like that, and that's making you feel a little bit crazy or
whatever it is.
Whatever it is, happy that day.
It could be good.
Happy that
day. It could be really good. It's the old thing about the full moon sort of thing. Like, people always look at a full moon and go, "Oh my god, the crazy's going out tonight," sort of thing. But they've done studies into that. There's absolutely nothing to do with, like, there's no correlation between a full moon and bad shit. But people might have positive confirmation bias, like they might have had a bad night on the full moon, and it's just ruined full moons for them. I don't know.
That's the kind of thing that, like, you know, hangs around for thousands of years. People are like, oh, of course, the moon, you know, is causing that, and you know, people like us say, oh, well, that's, you know, this is a little bit horoscopy for me. And then someone with like an electron microscope comes along and figures out that actually our body gets stretched out like 1 micron extra or something when there's a full moon, and that's enough to make us, you know, go a bit wacky.
Well, it's funny because Nate's actually mentioned the whole, when you come off, I think it's daylight savings or something, it's just an hour, but it can have this profound effect on the population because of an hour here, an hour there. So, yeah, you can see that being a case, especially, it's just established dogma, right? The whole full moon is bad and all that sort of stuff.
Well, you mentioned the sun. Like, I was telling someone today about this conspiracy theory. Well, I mean, who knows whether it's conspiracy or not. Anyway, this theory I heard about, let's not be quick to judge. Let's not rush to judgment. A theory I heard about today that that people believe that the sun was replaced at some point in the last sort of 50 or 60 years with an LED, with a giant LED bulb.
Oh, cool.
And you know, that whoever they are, controlling the bulb. They're lying to you, you know, like that the sun was a real,
what happened to
fiery fission, you know, ball of nuclear fission, and now it's just now it's run by General Electric, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. But why? What are they basing that on? They went, we looked at some paintings from fucking ages ago, and the sun looks different. So checkmate.
No, you know what it is. It's really poetic. I think it's actually quite sad and beautiful. But they go, well, there's all these posts, and they're like, well, obviously, like, don't you feel how different the sun feels as it used to be doesn't the sun feel different from when you were a child? Well, the sun was so much warmer when you were a kid. It was so much more golden. And now it's all cold and desolate, you know.
They're spot on. They're spot on. You can't argue with that. That's fucking, that's impenetrable.
They just miss being kids, I think.
Yeah. Like, if you ask anyone, what's the best, you know, video game in history, for example, they're gonna tell you the one that made their childhood their main video game. You ask like someone who was born in the 50s, you know, about their favorite, what's the best music that's ever been made, they're gonna tell you it was made in the mid 60s because that's when they were a kid.
Exactly. But on the other hand, you know, you can't prove that it isn't an LED bulb. You haven't been there. I have
not been there. No.
Yeah.
No, I've been told that if I get close to it, and this could be part of the bulb myth.
Probably. Could be.
If you try to get too close to the sun, you fucking die.
Yeah. There's a barrier there. There's like, I see that.
Don't forget about the firmament.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget about the firmament.
I mean, I think that might have leapfrogged to be my favorite theory about the world to date. You know, that there's a sort of fake sun floating around.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting closer. I was reading today, I don't know if you saw this, but we're going back to the moon. Have you seen
this? I know that. Yeah, we know that. Oh, yeah. No, we're all over that.
You've been talking about that?
Oh, of course. It's we're going back.
Yeah. I mean, are we going back? Are we going back, or like you and I?
They're going back. No.
Okay, they're going back.
But I saw this guy today talk about how, like, once private enterprise gets their hands on the moon, forget about it. Like, it's all going to be good. It's all cool.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that doesn't sound cool.
That doesn't sound cool.
I could see like a
disaster.
Yeah,
absolutely. Buy my moon tokens. Can't wait to get my moon money. You know?
100% they make moon money.
Yeah. Well, you know, imagine if you'd been stuck on the moon, and, you know, the moon's going to be powered on like Bitcoin, or, you know, like, because it's going to be people like Elon or whoever like in charge. So it'd be like, you know, it'll be crypto or whatever, and then crypto will crater like it has again, and then you'll be stuck up on the moon with your worthless moon tokens, desperate to come home.
But like, what we're going to do, right, is the whole point of the Artemis program is for sustained human life on the moon. So we want to pop a McDonald's up, right?
Yes,
that's what we want. We want to pop that's what they want. They want to pop a McDonald's up. And what else do you put up there? I guess like a rocket factory at some point, but next to the Maccas.
I think if the American experiment has taught us anything, it's that unrestrained private enterprise is fantastic for human life on whatever planet it takes off on. So having endless McDonald's on the moon could only be good for whatever prospects are going on up there, I think.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Get it up there. I bet you the ice cream machine always works on the moon.
Yes. Well, it's certainly cold. Certainly cold. If it's in the shade or the dark side of the moon, if it's in there, it's always going to be cold. Well, they're using that. They're using that as like a launching pad to Mars, right?
Sure, that's another part of not this mission, I would say, but yeah, they can, where they're landing one of these things, this upcoming mission where they're actually landing humans. I believe that it's on the south pole of what they call the southern pole of what they on the moon, and there's fucking like water there, bro.
On the moon.
Yeah, so they're going to get this water and be able to separate them into hydrogen and oxygen.
They're going to get this water and get ready to make some frozen Cokes.
Well, essentially, they can make rocket fuel.
Yeah.
Or sustain human life. So whichever one you want to build first.
Whichever one you want, yeah. I mean, I got to say I was less, in wonder or awe with the project than maybe I once would have been. It doesn't quite ring as like fantastic when you're like, we're going back to the moon. When the first time we went was like 50 years, 1972, and they were using computers the size of like small nations, that ran on punch cards or whatever.
Yep.
Well, they weren't even really using computers, right? They were just using people. Like they just had people with pads and paper.
Well, someone's got to punch in the punch
cards. Someone's got to do the work. Yeah, exactly.
No. It is true. It's been a long time, and today or the other day, and this was recorded on the 22nd, but the other day is the first time since that era of lunar missions, the Apollo missions, that a landable craft has orbited the moon. So it's just starting its orbit around, right?
Oh.
It's doing its slingshot move.
So is it going to land? It is going to land, isn't it? Or it's not.
This one is just a flyby. I'm pretty sure it's going to do another approach of the moon and then zip back to Earth after that.
They're scared. They're scared. They're like,
well, there's no one on board.
They're tentative. They're circling. They don't have the guts to land. Get down there. What are you going to do? What are you going to come back? Like, don't come back. Like,
that'll be next.
Get it down there. But there's so much money to like, not the money, but it's like so much effort to get that thing up there. Surely you want to, even if it crashes. I mean, there's plenty of real estate up there. Can't you just crash the thing on there and send more people up to potentially also crash?
What they'll do is they'll go, look, we crashed, but the good news is that we crashed into the moon and we're going there anyway, so we're going to salvage all that, so don't even worry about it. That'll be recycled.
Absolutely.
And the astronauts, they'll be recycled also, so don't worry about that.
NASA's pretty they're sort of all over the place with what is a good crash and what is a bad crash, because do you remember a few weeks ago they deliberately crashed their craft into that asteroid?
Yeah, of course. The DART program.
Yeah. So, that was a good crash. They wanted that one to crash. They were like, this isn't a flyby. That's a fly. It's a fly into.
Crash. That was a straight up ballistics test. Like, shoot this thing at that thing and let's see if it moves.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like at the tiniest fraction.
It moved, everybody.
The fate of all life on this planet will one day hang on us, like essentially shooting a pea at a water buffalo, and hoping it changes course while it's charging.
Yeah, I think the second time you send a nuke, right? That's obviously what you do. You don't just send like something to collide with it to make it move. You obliterate that thing, right? That's what you do.
That was certainly the plot of the Bruce Willis, Michael Bay blockbuster Armageddon.
Sort of.
And that certainly worked out in that movie. Wasn't that nukes?
Yeah. But their whole thing, the reason why Bruce Willis was with his boys is because they were the best oil drilling team in the world, right? So they were going to go drill through the asteroid, like get on it.
Yes.
Drill it. Nowadays, we just send a probe. It'd be a really boring movie. We just send a little droid to do it for us, and it would go and drop the nuke itself and all that sort of jam.
Doesn't have that human drama. Doesn't have that human element.
You need Liv Tyler and all that stuff.
Oh, and Liv Tyler was his daughter, right? So they spent like they spent a significant portion of the movie showing the romancing and sexual liaisons of Bruce Willis's daughter in that film.
Who's also being sung by Steve Tyler. I don't want to miss a thing.
Yes, so true. Her dad was serenading her fuck sessions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
What I like that the screenwriter was like, you know what this film needs? We've got this badass oil rig character. You know what I want to see? I want to see his daughter getting boned. You know, I don't know. Couldn't have. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. I mean, that, like, I'm surprised NASA doesn't take more inspiration from that. You know.
Well, from Armageddon.
Yeah, from Armageddon, man.
Where
else from?
From the Liv Tyler, Steve Tyler.
Yeah, why aren't more of these NASA engineers wooing oil rigs men's workers' daughters, you know? They could be out there.
I would have thought at least Aerosmith would have a job at NASA by now. I would have thought that they would have a permanent gig at NASA.
you know, we like joke about this, right? But it's just, I've just been reminded of... There's this great podcast called 9/12. Have you heard that? It's like a podcast about, it's all a collection of stories of like the day after 9/11.
Oh, crazy!
What happened? Right. Yeah. And all these interesting stories. But one of them is in the weeks, I suppose, after 9/11. All these high-ranking, I guess, FBI, you know, the sort of American security apparatus. Got, you know, they were like, how do we predict the next one of these? This is terrifying. You know, it's in the early days of the war on terror. Everyone's shitting themselves about terrorism and, you know, and Islamic terrorism, whatever. They're like, how do we prevent the next one? So they got a whole bunch of Hollywood screenwriters in to like do a workshop on like just come up with plots to Hollywood movies about how they would plot a like terrorist film.
Sure.
So they could role play like,
oh my God,
you know, scenarios, basically run through scenarios and like sort of outwit the terrorists with Michael Bay and
get Jack Bauer in. So Jack Bauer rocks up at the 45-minute mark and just starts popping off.
Yeah. So NASA could be doing this with you know, moon programs.
I'm sure they are. They definitely are. They're watching Interstellar. They're scribbling in their notepads when they do something wrong, even though apparently it was quite accurate.
That's true.
You know what I mean? They're doing that kind of stuff. They're watching Aerosmith. They're going to all the gigs.
Yeah, they're listening to Aerosmith for inspo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't actually follow that asteroid crashing one that closely, though.
Oh, well, Nate did. He was all over it.
Right. Well, so you've all talked about it. I've just, you know.
No. It's just something that has come up. So, we're definitely Aerosmithing out there in the early stages where we're not quite nuking the joint yet.
Well, I guess we'll find out if it works. You know, I mean, if we all die in a fiery asteroid inferno in a couple of months' time, I suppose it worked.
Well, no, this wasn't to avert a potentially dangerous asteroid from Earth. This was a test, and the way Nate put it was it's the first time we've ever affected the cosmos with our intervention.
Right, yeah.
So we've intervened with the natural, whatever you want to call it, the trajectory of that thing.
We've certainly intervened with the cosmos down here. I mean, we've fucked up this, you know, this particular part of the cosmos has been pretty
I like it.
Pretty well impacted.
Yeah. You think about it though, it's been like if you watched it from the outside, if you watched Earth from space, you would see it's like chewing stuff up, shitting stuff out. And then all of a sudden around sort of the 1950s, 1960s, we just start shitting into space now.
Yep.
Now we're shitting into space.
Yeah. You've seen that graph of like the space debris, right? It's just like a cloud. It's like,
are we making a prison that we can no longer escape from? You know, there was that kind of notion of we're building a wall around the planet.
Well, that's it, man. Imagine if you were stuck up on the moon with your moon tokens, your bitcoins, and you just like realized you couldn't get back in anymore because there's an impenetrable field of sort of space junk, McDonald's wrappers, or
it's just something they tell you just before takeoff. They go, by the way, the sort of 25-minute part of the journey is pretty crucial. It's the part where we could potentially encounter space debris that'll rip up the outer parts of the spaceship and leave us in the vacuum of space. Anyway, who wants a drink kind of thing?
I kind of liked the real nervous imagery of like, because that Artemis rocket they launched to the moon, or I think that's what it's called, that had 3 crash test dummies on it, fully kitted out in gear
and sensors and stuff. Yeah.
That just really makes me anxious for the like real humans who are going to go next time. Like, it's just a real bad. I'm sure it's fine, but it just is a real bad image in my mind that you're setting up these kind of thing. I think it reveals a nervous and uncertain NASA. Frankly, it's like undermines my confidence in them. I mean, what would I know? I can't even explain the tides. I mean, what would I know about any of this stuff?
Moon gravity.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're going back. They're trying to get that answer that I don't have.
Yeah, we're just shaking the moon, Jack Bauer style. Like, why are tides?
Yeah.
We've got nothing better to do down. We're just figuring out tides.
They also said that they're going to do a lot of science up there, which I kind of wondered about.
Yeah,
it was so generic though. They never sort of, I don't know, they're never like very specific. They're like, we're going to science up there.
What does that mean? What do you put in the budget? You just put science remaining expenditure, and they're like, what's the science? Oh, it's, all of it. We're going to science the fuck out of it. It's going to be so scienced.
I'm sure there's lots of amazing things that come out of it, but I just remember once reading a list of, the developments that we'd got from the space program, and all I can remember was like that we got the Dustbuster.
Teflon.
Teflon. Okay. So we got frying pans and the Dustbuster.
Teflon could have been the shoving channel.
Okay.
Not sure.
That's pretty good. We got frying pans, Dustbusters, and moon sundaes once they get a Macca's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's fun about the Artemis thing, though? Even though there was just test dummies on board, there was a 25-minute period where it lost comms with Earth. And it was when it was going around the moon, right? So they've lost comms for 25 minutes. During that period, I think it was for a few hours they lost comms. And during that period, it had needed to do a burn of a couple of minutes to, it was burning retrograde, which I guess I don't know. It was probably either sharpening its orbit or expanding its orbit. Not sure which one.
Yeah.
And it had to complete this burn while it had no comms. And so what it kind of proved is that, hey, we don't need humans to get this thing doing what we need it to, even if we lose comms with it. That's quite scary, because during that 25 minutes, that the brain of that probe, let's call it, because there's no one on board, went silence. I can't hear anything, but I know what I got to do here. In about 3 or 4 minutes time, I'm going to do a burn.
It's trained.
But it could have just fucking went, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to leave, start my own little robot world.
Just starts blasting off in a different direction.
Just starts punching cards for a couple of thousand years. Punching cards, building rooms of computers. Then they launch their space mission back to us.
Maybe it gets really depressed and then changes its orbit to go smash into that same asteroid that the other one did.
To correct it.
Yeah, just sees it has a glimpse of the void behind the moon.
It goes,
and then just
Alexa, play Aerosmith, Don't Want to Miss a Thing. Yeah, it doesn't want to close its eyes or fall asleep.
Well, maybe that last probe that smashed into the asteroid was like its lover, and it's like,
the reunion,
sort of Antony and Cleopatra type thing or something, where you're gonna go join it.
Yeah, they should at least chuck a boombox on it, playing Aerosmith on repeat.
See, this is the kind of stuff NASA should be consulting us for. This is the kind of shit that we should be getting on and helping them with.
Absolutely.
This is narrative, baby. This is Hollywood. That's why the space program's been languishing for so long, is because they don't have this kind of gold.
Yeah. The new plot is that they figured out that sending a crew to drill down and nuke it was never going to work. What you actually need is to create a a stage in space and get Aerosmith to perform Don't Want to Miss a Thing at the asteroid, and that will destroy it, right?
We're going to preserve Steve Tyler in Aspic and the rest of Aerosmith until we're ready, until, you know, humankind has reached for the light of the stars and we're ready. Then we're going to bring them out of preservation, and then we're going to have them playing on the probe to the next solar system, you know? They're the Voyager. They're the Voyager record for our time.
What did we send? We sent Sagan and Jungle Noises and shit. We should have sent Aerosmith and Savage Garden and
a Big Mac and a fucking Big Mac.
Yeah, maybe some Blink.
Oh yeah. That's good. That's good. I mean, that, you know, that stuff will all be written into the geological record, but I guess that doesn't go very far, you know. Like, they'll find Happy Meal toys in the geological record in like millions of years.
Big Mac will still be good to eat.
Yeah, exactly. They'll pull that out of the stone, and just have a munch on it.
It'll still be good. Yeah, it'll still be good. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah. After the nuclear war or whatever it is, you know, whatever happens. I don't know.
The last Big Mac. It's another story, you know. It's another movie. So,
well, I had a moment today where I was like, I don't know if this is just my own pessimism or if this is what it's like for everyone, but I just had a moment today where I was talking to a friend and we were talking about antibiotic resistance, and because they work in a hospital. I don't know how much you know about antibiotic resistance, but it's not good. That's the short version.
You've got antibiotics, which are good for you.
Yeah,
and then you got
and then resistance to that. Resistance to that, and that's bad. Yeah, that's the long and short of it, mate. That's the technical version.
That's terrifying.
Now let me move on to explaining the tides. But I just had this, I don't know, we're just talking about sort of nuclear war and the geological record, and we just ran through, like, you know, he was talking about antibiotic resistance. So I was like, oh yeah, I was kind of sipping my coffee, and then I just started running through like 3 or 4 other, you know, sort of end of civilization as we know it scenarios after that, you know, that are all seeming increasingly likely, where I'm like, oh, well, I don't know, mate. I don't know whether that's the one that's going to get us. You've got, you know, climate change, obviously, climate crisis. You've got the nuclear threat, you know, we've still got those nukes out there.
Still got a few thousand of them kicking around. Yeah.
We got the increasing risk of a global pathogen, like another, you know, some other pathogen, like that roulette wheel's just spinning at all times. The viral one, you know, that's just
sure.
You've got obviously Aerosmith returning in superhuman form.
You said they were getting increasingly more likely, so we got that makes sense. We got Aerosmith coming back in nuclear powered.
Yes.
Nuclear Man style from Superman 4 Quest for Peace.
Yes.
I am Aerosmith.
Exactly. That is exactly the image I was thinking of. The Sun Man. What was that guy? The Sun Man. I gotta watch that movie again.
I don't want to miss a thing.
I just remember he had the power to like grow his nails at will, which is like the kookiest superhuman power.
It's actually a hilarious story because it was one of those like producers moments where they almost wanted it to tank, man. Like, and it's so bad. Like, the movie's so bad. And you're right. They are falling from the sky, fighting each other, even though they can both fly, but they're choosing to fall from the sky together, right?
Yeah.
And he goes to scratch him, but before he goes to scratch him, he does a little twinkle thing with his hands and grew these massive nails.
Yeah. Pretty good power.
I am Nuclear Man. I have the power of the sun, and I can grow my nails really quickly.
Everyone involved in that production seemed to be phoning it in so hard.
100%. It's corny. It's one of the corniest movies ever made. And
I loved it when I was a kid. I loved that fight. I love that fight where they go. I really remember the bit where they drill Superman into the dark side of the moon, where he drills Superman into the dark side of the moon, you know, like under the... Or is it the other way around? Does Superman drill Nuclear Man to the dark side of the moon? Maybe that's...
I can't remember.
That's how it happens. One of the two. I think it might be Nuclear Man because he like drills him into the shadow side of the moon and then he can't power up. He can't power up anymore though. Nuclear
and then
Man.
the sun hits
Then the
Clark
sun hits
again,
it.
and he butzes out. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
But with that, with the nails thing, like, can he retract them? Like, does he somehow have somehow conscious control of the growth rate of his nails? You know.
Can he bring them back down like Wolverine, or does he have
like,
to, like?
I mean, how annoying would it be if you like, and your nails grow, and then you've got to go clip them,
or he could heat vision them off. He'd just zap them off with his eyes.
Oh yes, maybe he bites them off like a gross, gross dude. Like he just chews on them.
Yeah, but he's not chewing on them; he's feasting on them at that point. He gets a whole couple of meals out of it. Yeah. No, it sounds pretty economical to me. I don't think you can really fault the guy. I mean, very economically friendly for a nuclear man.
From memory, that was Lex Luthor's. He was like a sort of Frankenstein-ish creation of Lex Luthor, right? He plucked a hair from Superman.
So he cut the hair of Superman that was holding up a 10,000 ton
yes.
thing. He cut the Superman hair with scissors.
Yeah.
So this thing that's supporting 10,000 tons found its breaking point at the hands of these office work scissors. Anyway, so he clips it. He gets the DNA of Superman at that point. I think that was the point. And then either he tricks Superman into throwing all the nukes of the world into the sun, giving birth to Nuclear Man.
That's right. It was like a Cold War era, like happy parable, right? He solved the Cold War.
Superman was just rushing around collecting all the world's nukes and putting them in a big net.
Yes, a big net. Yeah.
And then he flung the net at the sun, which I guess he thought was a good idea, but he produced Nuclear Man potentially.
Right.
So maybe Lex put the hair inside a nuke. I don't fucking know.
Do you think the Russians were on board with Superman, who's so clearly like associated with America? Like he's not, he grows up in Kansas. He's not like a Russian. He's not an Earth figure. Like he's growing up, he's very American.
Sure.
Were they happy with him coming and just unilaterally taking all their nukes? I imagine they probably weren't.
Probably not is the short answer.
Right.
But he wasn't really giving them a choice, right?
Right. So he's a bit like a god. He's a bit like an unaccountable deity, just
meddling
in human affairs. Yeah.
I've decided this is for your own good. Continue killing each other with your small arms. I'll be back.
Exactly. Your small arms. Yeah. I've got a haircut to get. How does he get his haircut? Why was there one hair? Did it fall out? I guess it could have fallen out.
That's a good question. Where did they get the hair from? And it looked quite long, actually.
Yeah,
was he growing a mullet at some point?
That was Superman's hippie phase in the 70s. He went a bit wild there. He did have pretty, what's his name? Christopher Reeves did have pretty good, like he had a bit of a bob, I think.
Yeah, he had great hair for Superman. He looked like a comic book.
He had that cowlick, the thing at the front. So maybe that's where it came from, because that's really long. That's curly.
Only Superman had the cowlick. Didn't Clark Kent like nerd him up a bit more? Like wasn't the cowlick specifically reserved? So when he gets into this phone booth, when he gets changed really quickly by spinning.
Yeah, that's true.
He's also doing his little hair thing.
Yeah, that's
making
true.
Sure that's perfectly in posy for when he sees Lois Lane, because she can't tell the difference, even though she basically fucked him.
She's face blind. She's face blind. She can't see anything. she just sees a blur.
Well, it's perfect person for Superman then.
So hang on. So yeah, that's right. So Gene Hackman, aka Lex Luthor, steals the hair from the museum, holding up a big weight. Who's going to see that, by the way? Like, what a boring display. I'd be like, oh, well, I know Superman's strong. I saw him, like, I don't know, level a skyscraper the other week. Like, his hair's not that exciting. Turn on the news, man. Like,
well, obviously, it's the hair holding up the 10,000 tons that's exciting.
Sure,
it's like, wow, it can hold. How much can your hair hold?
That's true.
Fuck all is the answer to my hair.
Maybe like 1 kilo if you're really if you're using a lot of shampoo and stuff. Anyway, so
shouldn't Clark be like shaving his head for like charity, right? And creating like the
super strong like materials.
Yeah, maybe to like make a net out of. I don't know.
Yeah,
so you can put a bunch of nukes in it.
Well, you think so, but
he's keeping all the hair for himself because he needs the quiff.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, so he gets the hair, and then he uses that DNA. And then can you remember how he made the Nuclear Man?
Well, like I said,
he steps out of like a smoky. He does like a kind of 1930s style, mad scientist thing, doesn't he? And he steps out of like a kind of smoky fog machine room from memory.
Okay,
is that right? Is that your recollection?
I'm gonna try and find the plot because I'm actually struggling.
Yes.
By the way, Lex Luthor in that movie, he actually refused to shave his head. He wanted to have a head of hair. So he just said, "Look, I'm fucking up otherwise," and they just went, "All right, don't worry about it."
No, it was
okay. So how does it work? Lex confers with black market arms dealers disgruntled about Superman's actions, wanting to rearm the country with nuclear warheads, and makes a deal for them to attach the hair to a nuclear missile. After the missile is test launched, Superman intercepts it and throws it into the sun. So he does trick Superman.
Oh.
So instead of launching a nuke at the sun with Superman's hair on it, which he absolutely could have done because that did work.
Yes.
You have to trick Superman into doing it for you. So
in the process of Superman saving the Earth, he actually brought about its potential demise by unleashing Nuclear Man.
The Nuclear Man.
Nuclear bombs were gone. Nuclear Man was here.
Yeah, so we did away with nuclear bombs and we created the Nuclear Man.
Right.
And he made his way back to Earth to find his father, Lex, who establishes that while his creation is powerful, he will deactivate without exposure to sunlight.
Yes. I mean, famous Achilles heel of every supervillain is just, showing immediately how you can defeat them.
By the way, Superman, who up until this point, I was pretty sure he only had kryptonite to worry about, was infected with radiation sickness caused by a scratch from Nuclear Man. I'm reading this off the page. Nuclear Man's radioactive claws.
They weren't claws, they were fingernails. I remember. He just needed a petty or a mani or whatever it is.
Nuclear Man kicks Superman into the distance with such strength that Superman's cape falls off. Who gives a fuck?
Oh, doesn't he use the cape for some wacky... Is that this movie where he does something special with the cape? Maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
Well, it says here that Lois Lane angrily seizes Superman's recovered cape. I'm picking up your shit.
I'm sick of cleaning up after you. Yeah.
Lois ventures to Clark's apartment where she proclaims her love for Superman.
Oh.
Felled by radiation sickness, Clark staggers to his terrace where he retrieves the Kryptonian energy module and attempts to heal himself from radiation sickness caused by the radiation claws. Jesus Christ.
Well, they had a lot of problems on this set, clearly. There was a troubled production, I can tell.
And at the end, Lex goes to prison. So good.
Oh.
All's well in the world.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Job done. Sorry, everybody, about the Nuclear Man.
Yeah, exactly. He's in one of those Supermax monstrosities in America somewhere where you can't see sunlight, for your entire life. Does it have a section on there that, says anything about the development or production? Because they're always a grey area.
Absolute nightmare.
It's an absolute train wreck.
It was a nightmare, apparently. Real bad.
Does it have any, are there any choice Wikipedia...
I'll have a look in a sec, but check this out.
Okay.
Nuclear Man did exactly 3 things on his IMDb page, right?
Mm.
Quest for Peace, number 1. I'm Nuclear Man. Don't even know if that's his real voice. Then he played a guy in a TV series for 1 episode of Wise Guy. I don't know what that is. It's a 1988 TV series. And then he had 3 credits in Alaska Kid. Oh no! So he didn't do anything after.
What was his role in Alaska Kid? Was he the Alaska Kid, or was he?
It says he was the Alaska Kid.
Oh, okay,
but
he's got the lead role.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess he was pretty big. He was the Alaska Kid. There you go. Who knew?
Right. I did not know he was the Alaska Kid. That's for sure. Didn't even know there was an Alaska Kid. I think we can. Yeah, I think you could probably safely infer from that. Nuclear Man bombed his career, I mean, I guess I don't know that much. I don't know Hollywood. I don't know how this all works, but to go from Nuclear Man to the Alaska Kid, that's Did he de-age? Did he de-age? How does he go from being a man to a kid? What happened?
I think it's like a Billy the Kid thing.
Oh, he's like a grown kid.
He's not a real kid.
He's not a real kid.
He's like it's like ironic. Like Little John's a big guy, and the Alaskan kid is an old man.
Yes.
Hey,
so
it says here,
that
there was 45 minutes of footage that has never been seen by the general public.
Wow, that's a gold mine.
They were deleted following a failed Southern Californian test screening. In fact, the nuclear man that appears in the film is actually the second nuclear man that was created. Cut scenes from the original nuclear man portrayed by a different guy who must have been just completely cut, engaging Superman in a battle outside the Metro Club and being destroyed by Superman. So Superman kills the first nuclear man. So what? Okay.
This is the grassy knoll of Superman lore. This is like there was a second shooter. There was a second nuclear man. Okay.
Okay, so the first one was meant to be sort of Bizarro Superman, but like Bizarro,
right?
Which is a different guy apparently.
But that's an actual character, right, in the Superman universe.
Yes.
I don't actually know that much about Bizarro. He seems like a bit of a cop out. Like he seems like one of those ideas that you get in the comic books world where it just seems like someone was phoning it in, or like, you know what I mean?
They literally do everything in every comic though. Like every single scenario, they're covered.
Yeah.
Every single thing, they've done a book on that.
And definitely the Bizarro characters, right? There's always like the antithesis character.
Yeah. Yes. It's pretty lazy. You're right. It's like, let's just reverse the character and then say we've done heaps of stuff.
Yeah.
But they just make so much fucking stuff that it just happens.
Yes. I mean, I know they made a communist Superman. I don't know much about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like Superman, but if he'd landed in Stalinist Soviet Union.
Yeah, badass. Is this a recent movie?
I think it was a comic like a 90s comic maybe, and then they made it into like one of those animated movies.
Cool. Yeah, sure.
Red Sun. It's called Red Sun.
Fascinating.
Yeah. But I don't know enough about
Netflix.
Oh, is it? Oh, great.
I don't know, because I think I've started watching it or watched it.
I think I started watching it too, and then I was like, wait a minute, I don't care about Superman.
Yeah, what am I watching this for?
What am I doing this for? I was like mildly... Yeah.
You know, who cares?
I care about Nuclear Man now. I kind of want to go back and watch that, but I don't care about Superman.
They could remake Nuclear Man today and it'd be absolutely fine. People get on board. Just bring back the original Nuclear Man. That would be actually the Alaskan kid.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, Nuclear Man is kind of camp in my memory. Like, I think he'd go great now. Like, he had that really sort of quite ostentatious, like, gold and, you know, that, like, gold trimmed Lycra bodysuit.
Oh, you like all that? Yeah.
And we've already talked about him doing the fabulous nails. Like, he's almost sort of, he's quite camp, which I like. Superman was never doing that. But I mean, this, again, not to go back, but this is exactly the sort of stuff that NASA should be getting on board with this moon settlement. You know, like these are the kind of, like, you could sell people on the idea of becoming a nuclear man if you move up to the moon one day.
Oh, yeah. There's a chance you get nucleared.
We've got someone writing in here. I think we've got our first caller on this podcast.
Wait, is it Nate?
I think it could be.
Okay, it's a hypothetical, is it? It's a would you rather question, and it's being posed to both of us from Nate.
Right. And is he writing this in somewhere?
Yeah, he's wrote it to me. He wants us both to have a think about it.
Okay.
Would you rather a good hand job from your grandma or a bad hand job from your grandma?
I shouldn't have let you finish that thought, but
yeah, look, it's a good
do you want to answer? Do you want to answer, or do you want me to go first? I mean, do you have any strong feelings one way or the other? I have to say, the question in itself repulses me. But
absolutely.
But look, each to their own, I suppose. Do you have strong feelings, or?
Yeah, I'll take a bad one.
All right, go a bad one.
Yeah, I'll take the bad one.
What's your thought process there? You just going with your gut,
it'd be a better story.
You don't
want to go like, I had a hand job from my grandma. It was the best I ever had. You don't want that story.
I mean, that's a pretty good story. My grandma was serving fire. Story. She was
She's not a real grandma.
All these years, she's been hiding away with this
look, it's a good question.
hand job ability.
And it reminds me of something.
Think of all the hand jobs I could have had over the decades.
Oh, Jesus. So have you watched that show on TV? It's My Mum Wants to Fuck Your Dad, I think it's called. No, it's My Mum, Your Dad.
No. My Mum, Your Dad.
The concept is that single parents, their kids talk to other single parents' kids, like in a house together, and they try and marry off their parents, right? Try and get their parents hitched, right?
Yeah.
Like they might have been single for a long time or whatever. They have trouble, forming relationships, whatever it is, right? It's all good TV. You know what I'm saying? That's what the idea is.
Right.
I'm not watching this show, but it's essentially, my dad wants to fuck your mum or vice versa, right? And the kids all sort of watch the date unfold. They watch it all and go, oh, no, he's not going to say that, is he? Oh, no. I think that's the idea, right? They kind of get a sneak peek of what's going on.
Right.
I did see this snippet, right? And if this wasn't the preview bit that they show on Wednesdays to get you really excited for whenever it's on, then I don't know what is.
Okay.
So apparently one of the gentlemen gets asked like how many sexual partners he's had, and his daughter is shocked by the answer. He's she's a bit, wow, oh, okay. I think it was, I don't know, some 150 or something, right? So the kids watching the dates unfold, there's this bit, they're in this Big Brother like house together. They all live together, all the parents, we'll call them. And there's a vote that gets called as to which parents get to use the little room that they had put aside for privacy. And I put the privacy in inverted commas, right?
Okay.
And the couple who they decided, I don't know how they decided, they went, so who wants to fucking bang their significant other? Who's keen for that? Like, they get their alone time, right? So the couple that gets voted in is actually the one that I was mentioning from before. So they walk in and they sit on the bed, and then they stand up and they sit on the bed some more, and then they pop the champagne a bit and they sit on the bed some more, and maybe someone has a test lie down on the bed and then stands back up. It's fucking weird, right? I look away. I'm sort of just eating my lunch. This is great. I'm eating my lunch. I look back and it's full, like the quilt's on, but they're, you got blanket movement. You got blankage.
Oh.
You got movement.
Okay. That sounds like good TV.
The kids are watching on the monitor, and it cuts away to time to give them their privacy kind of message, right? And I was like, that's what the fucking room was for. Now they get to actually have the privacy moment after.
Right. So they're in a quote unquote private. Oh, sorry. There's more. Oh my God.
No. They're in the private room with a bunch of cameras.
Yeah.
But I guess the rules of the privacy room are is if you start boning, the cameras get turned off. I don't know. Until then, privacy not required. Tell us your whole story.
I wonder if they have a red line that they can't cross. They're like, once there's penetration or something, they're like, okay, this is the moment now.
Jeez.
Like we got to stop, turn these cameras off.
Well, it's obviously not a live show, so they're not making those decisions in the moment. They're crafting these episodes.
So they've got tape. They've got hours of tape of just people boning in the privacy room.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah. Because it might come up in 10 years' time that footage is allowed to be like leaked to the public, or they're allowed to because they've got the rights to it. Fuck them. They do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
No, it certainly shows that the family is in good shape in this day and age when you're making these kind of shows.
No, but like the premise isn't that bad.
Oh, isn't it?
It's not that bad.
Right.
It's the whole like it's the kids are critiquing their terrible dating parents.
I would not want to be called out on my dating life by my children. I can tell you that much, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd be like, you give it a try, mate. You're not even out of primary school yet. What do you know about this? What do you know about what's going on?
Yeah.
You had to pay for dinner, or I don't know.
It's that time when the kids start feeling like they've outgrown, not outgrown them, but like, I'm the parent now. You're the kid. Come on. I got this.
Exactly. I don't follow you around and critique your dating life, I'm not sort of reading your messages or whatever. I don't know. What do kids do? Anyway.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I'm not watching that show. But I was wondering if anyone was, but...
No, I stay clear of rooms with shows with privacy rooms on them as a rule.
It's a good rule. Big Brother used to do like live feeds. You could just tune in.
Definitely.
Like,
yeah.
But I think that was to the channel. Like, it'd be weird if you could log onto a website and be like, I want to watch them playing Scrabble.
Yeah. Well, they've done newer series of it, right? So they must have. Maybe they don't do the live streaming stuff anymore. Like it's just all on TV. I don't know.
We've been given another question to consider. If the first one, was what do we think about this one?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. If your female partner has a penis for a day, what do you do? Say, what is this a catch you tomorrow?
Probably ask a lot more questions, I guess.
What is the nature of this?
Okay. So
have you had a wish from a genie to have a penis for a day? Is that what's going on here?
A lot more explaining than just that fact, I guess.
You're going in for surgery tomorrow. What's the deal? Like, how come it's just one day? Why would you? What did you want to talk to me about this before?
First question I'd ask is, was it a genie? Second question is, how do the tides work? Can the genie answer that question for me?
What did you wish for other than the penis for a day? Was there anything else that seemed pressing at the time?
I don't see Steve Tyler anywhere near us right now. Why isn't he around?
I was thinking a global increase to antibiotic.
Anti-resistance or whatever.
Yeah, we're putting the resistance back.
Yeah.
We're putting the resistance back in not resistant.
Tell you what, that's not the first thing I'd be wishing for, or a dick. The first thing I'd be wishing for is retractable or growable bloody nails.
Yeah, some sort of nuclear Aerosmith band, man. Would be high on my
I really
list.
like the idea of Steve Tyler as Nuclear Man. Like that like he gets launched in a rocket to intersect an asteroid, to save the planet, and they're playing the song the whole way, like the thousands of hours they're playing. Don't want to miss a thing, and then they miss the asteroid. We never hear from them, and then years later, the entire band returns
as Nuclear Man,
and they're all Nuclear Man. And it's like,
what song are they going to play at the end, bro? Like, because don't want to miss a thing. They can't play that at the end.
But I'm talking, it's like, Oppenheimer, like Bhagavad Gita moment where you're like, this is the return of, this is the end.
Destroyer of worlds has arrived.
Like we're not talking, the days of serenading your daughter to be fucked by Ben Affleck are over. Now it's serious business, Humanity's retribution, cleansing is at hand.
Yeah. They will pay for shipping you.
We're all going to get clawed and get the sickness that Clark Kent got. Yeah.
No, because I'm susceptible to all diseases. I don't even need to get scratched by radioactive claws to die terribly.
And in the meantime, the antibiotics have failed, so we don't even have that.
He's got kryptonite and radioactive claws. If you go on Superman's Wikipedia page, it says weaknesses: radioactive claws, number 1, and kryptonite, number 2.
Yeah, the entire canon, the 100 years of creativity of the thousands of writers that have worked on Superman, and the pinnacle of that is that Superman's susceptible to a guy scratching him a little bit.
Nuclear Man.
Yeah, that's like War of the Worlds shit. They rock up and there's like a cough, they get the cold, and the whole alien civilization dies. That's like that.
No, it's going to be even more terrifying than that when they arrive, because they're going to come down with big retractable claws, because unlike Quest for Peace that don't retract, he has to cut them off with his laser beam eyes or whatever. These War of the Worlds aliens are pretty keen on the whole
grooming.
No, no, they have the claws. They'll come down. You'll see the claws come out of their hands, and you'll go, "Holy shit! They're glowing orange like Nuclear Man."
Yeah,
and that's the moment that you'll realize that sort of radiation sickness is fast becoming the next genie wish, like a cure to all radiation sickness.
But too bad you've used up all your wishes on wishing that your female partner had a dick
for a day.
For a day.
What if you really like it? Is that wish number 2? Yeah, that's the second wish. So. Make it permanent and cool.
Yeah, that would be funny. Like, yeah, I like the Simpsons thing with the monkey paw, not the genie lamp. I like the monkey paw.
So it actually counts down. The claw
counts down. I love that. Yeah. I love that. So you've used up 2 wishes, and then you finally use up that 3rd wish, and the paw closes for your 1 day of dick, which you're supposed, I don't know, someone's wishing for, God knows why, but and then
look, whether
and then Steve Tyler and Aerosmith arrive in the minutes after that, like step out, and it's like, like,
look, if we haven't done
cosmic
like future movie plots, we've done future NASA missions, so we're helping out on both fronts. The future NASA missions, they'll probably launch Steve Tyler at something soon. Like they'll probably give that a crack, because if it worked in Armageddon, it's got to work.
Steve Tyler's just a guy that makes me laugh, I think, when I think of him. He looks like, I don't know, he looks like sort of your unmarried like auntie who's a bit artistic. He like wears these scarves now, and he's got like really long hair still, and he's got like a perm or whatever.
He's always looked like he's just been drawn by a caricature, but he hasn't.
Yes. I mean, like, if he was going to be the source of the end of the world that we were talking about earlier with that list, I think I could handle that. I think I could accept that. Like, I think I would at least go down with a bit of a chuckle.
Regular nuclear war, boring.
I know, that's like
at least
awful.
we could have had a bit of Nuclear Man Aerosmith up in
exactly like nuclear war. Yeah, that's awful. I've seen the movies about that. That's just like grim, like you're eating. If you're a survivor, you're just shuffling around the wasteland. There's rubble everywhere.
Oh, don't forget about option B. Live in an underground sort of vault for 50 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
That'd be all right.
While you try to figure out.
While you try to figure out what to do.
One
after
room.
After all the peanut butter's gone and all the crackers are gone.
Yeah.
You sort of start figuring out that like maybe you should have just stayed up there.
Yeah. So that's all pretty grim, and the antibiotic thing's pretty grim, and climate change, we all living through that, so I don't need to even talk about that. But
look, if
Steve Tyler,
if nuclear war is the grimmest thing, then at least there's a slim chance that we somehow become nuclear men, or like some people, and that way there's
a little bit of hope there. There's a silver lining.
Yeah, retractable fingernails, the lot.
I want to bring Nate back
stay in
into
direct
this.
sunlight.
I want to bring Nate back into this conversation, but to do
we've
that,
got to wrap it up soon anyway.
Today, to do that, I have to take the cat ears off.
Oh man,
which is, I don't even know how to do that. Hang on, let me try. Oh, I'm taking them off.
See you, buddy.
See you, man. It's good to talk.
Loved it. Talk soon.
Man, this is awesome. I'm actually looking forward to listening to the podcast. Normally I have to listen to myself and it's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm well. Yeah, no, that I could only hear one side of the conversation, with the setup here. I could only hear our friend couldn't hear yourself. So no, it's nice to hear your voice. I fed him some dried mango, and I'm surprised he didn't. What did you think?
It's delicious.
It's delicious. Delicious.
There you go.
Man, dried mango. You just get it sliced up in the packet at Woolies. It is excellent.
Are we doing Woolies now?
Yeah, no, I've always Woolies. Don't tell me you shop at Coles.
No. I just was wondering, maybe if we were like sponsorship.
No, it's not a foodie box situation. I'll work on that sponsorship jig.
No. Good.
Hey, I wanted to quickly raise something with you before we wrap it up.
Yeah, man.
Because you're into games, right?
I'm into games. Yeah, what you asked me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into games.
Okay, so tell me what you think. I want just a hot take. There's a new game coming out, 16th of December. It's one of our mates' brothers is involved in its creation. Wow. That's how I came across it. Let me just shoot you the link.
Yeah, what's the name of it?
I'll just send you a link. It's called Axiom.
Yeah.
Listen to this. What do you call it? Like blurb.
Okay. Go on. Give me the blurbs.
In a cyberpunk world where giant corporations take advantage of their power, only those with the ability to enter the human mind can stop corruption at its source. You are a mind assassin called Miles, and this mind-bending first-person action adventure is your story of revenge.
Interesting. So are you going to play it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, here we fucking go.
It looks like some kind of... It's a platform game.
First person...
But if you look at the tags, how do I get the tags? 3D platformer. I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was a VR game. Sort
of looks it, right? But that's just because it's first person, right?
Exactly. And I did ask him if it's VR or not. I mean, I should have been able to figure that out from the tags. But it did say 3D in the tags. I was like, is that VR? But no, of course. Yeah. So dystopian, story rich.
Story rich.
Cyberpunk.
It also says free to play. Is that a thing?
Really? Oh, I was going to pay money for
genre.
it. So if it's free to play, is that as advertised?
You just put it on your wish list.
Oh, wow, man!
Cool.
Should just So that's 16 December.
There you go. You know, full review.
Yeah, I'll give you a full review. Yeah, at that point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and So what else been going on? I feel like we've only got 5 minutes. I didn't really do much this week. I did do a cryo chamber sesh.
You did. You got all cold.
Yeah.
4 minutes. Did you do some stuff?
I just stood in it, and all my chest hair started freezing up.
And that's good.
I think that's what you're going for.
Oh, wicked.
That means you've done it. You're doing it right.
Got in the freezer.
Yeah,
felt good after the freezer.
I just stood in there with my girlfriend 4 minutes. Saw her eyebrows all freezing up. Felt my nose hairs freezing up.
It's quite spacey.
Spacey.
Yeah, it's like a movie. I'm picturing like a big white, all white sheer metal room, and you guys are looking at each other in the cryo chamber thing, and it's and you can see the ice forming and stuff.
Yeah, okay. It was a little bit like that. I'd imagine it would be like if there was a breach of the space station and you got sucked out into space.
Just no, the bit before that, the bit where you still get to breathe and be alive. Because when you're a kid, you think that if you get exposed to space, your head just instantly explodes.
Oh, yes. Apparently
that's what you think when you're a kid, right?
Yeah. And why is that?
Probably Total Recall. You seen that movie?
Yeah, I have.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he's having a dream about being on Mars, he takes off his helmet and he starts going, and his whole face explodes.
Oh, okay.
It's rough.
Let's check that out. Arnold Schwarzenegger's head exploding on Mars in a dream.
Rock and roll, man.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. No, I've got a few little things that I'll raise next week. Nothing important. Nothing that can't wait.
Yeah, good job. Hit us up. Do we get any?
Yeah. Are there any emails?
Didn't check.
Still waiting for an email.
Oh, we got an email from Damien last week.
That's right. So no new emails.
But and no like spam. You know, where's my spam? You know,
maybe we need to just start to disseminating the email to dodgy websites.
Great idea.
I'm sure there's somewhere where you can, or maybe we just subscribe to some things.
Yeah, just newsletters, right? Get some shoe sales and stuff.
And
right?
then we can read out the marketing information.
Yeah, it's a great idea. All right, we'll see what emails we get next week. That's actually pretty exciting.
All right,
no, I'm thinking about doing that. You come up with 3 places to subscribe the email to. I'll come up with 3 places to subscribe the email to, and we'll see what emails we get.
Perfect. Sounds good.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Looking forward to it. See you, mate.